Welcome to Red Zone DFS. We got Super Wild Card Weekend. How we feeling this week, boys?
Feeling dangerous.
Oh no,
feeling a little dangerous.
feeling good. All of our teams are in the playoffs. Riding high right now. Joe, how are you feeling after the drought, man?
Yeah,
dude, it's been. You can't count that 2016 playoff run when Matt McGloin started the playoff game for us. So we really haven't been to a true playoff game in about 19 years since Jerry Rice was playing for the Raiders. So I'm excited. I'm excited to be there. I also don't want to get, a clown show game and be like by a team that also hasn't won a playoff game since 1990. So the Bengals have a worse drought than the Raiders do. Way worse.
Yeah, I was just going to
bring that up. I think Bengals fans might be feeling a little bit more nervous than Raider fans right now.
I was just going to bring that up. Do you know what year the last Bengals playoff win was?
Yeah, older than me. It was 1990.
1990 versus the Houston Oilers was their last playoff win.
My God.
So let's see if they can break the streak.
So, guys, our format today, we're going to go game by game. We're going to kind of talk about what our game flow ideas are. We think there's going to be what players we're absolutely hammering and what players we're avoiding, and maybe some low price guys you guys should sneak into your playoff lineups this weekend. Now, this can go for your guys' showdown lineups. This can go for short slates. There's also the full slate on DraftKings Saturday all the way through Monday where all 7 games are on there.
Yeah.
So pick your poison of what tournaments you want. But we'll be talking as if we're doing the full slate this weekend.
Yep.
But we'll be starting with the Vegas at Cincinnati game to start off Wild Card Weekend, Saturday at 1:30 Pacific time, 4:30 Eastern. How you guys feeling about this game? What do you think is going to happen?
I think you bring up an interesting point. The Bengals haven't been there for a while. So I think that a lot of people think that this might be a little bit lower scoring of a game, but I actually think this might be the highest scoring game of the entire weekend. You've got a quarterback in Joe Burrow who thrives in the limelight, has no issue with dealing with big game pressure. He's been there before. Jamar Chase has been there before. Derek Carr is a seasoned veteran within this league.
It is Derek Carr's first playoff game he's ever played in his career.
The biggest issue for Derek Carr is the way that he plays in the beginning of the game.
That's been the Bengals' problem. That's been the Bengals' problem as well at home. They play notoriously horrible first halves all season at home.
Well, so does Derek. In these big games, he gets so hyped up. That's when he makes those throws that people just go, "What the fuck was that?" Right? I think, not having Ruggs and not having a massive downfield presence, I think that they're going to, it's on the road. They're going to try and run the ball a little bit, which is a good thing. So, I think that Josh Jacobs in this game is a really interesting play. If we're talking about showdown, I think Josh Jacobs is a really, really good captain option just because, even on passing downs, he hasn't been coming out a whole lot. So he's going to get a fair amount of volume against the mediocre run defense in the Bengals. So,
he's going to get
right away.
He's going to get massive volume, right? Yeah. Peyton Barber's their backup at this point. And the reason Josh Jacobs does not get massive carries early on in the season is because the way he runs. He is a violent runner that craves contact, and he always has bruised ribs. He's always got some kind of injuries because of it. The last 2 weeks, he's had over 24 carries in each game. They know it's, ride or die. You lose, you're out. So they're going to ride Jacobs. He's going to get 25 plus carries. I love that. I also think Darren Waller, I think this is going to be a breakout week for him.
Mm-hmm.
He played 80% of the snaps last week. He is healthy. Derwin James just happened to lock his ass down last week. He had 8 targets. Right. So against a Bengals team that's not very good against tight ends either, I think this is a massive Darren Waller week. And you're going to see kind of a different Raiders offense than you saw the last few weeks.
Yeah, I'm with you guys. And I think Waller's an interesting spot because if you're talking about the full game slate, right, the 6-gamer, he's kind of sandwiched in there price-wise, right? I think you're going to see a lot of people want to pay up, right? You have Kelsey on the board. You've got Gronk on the board, Kittle on the board.
Yep.
They're going to be popular guys in all those stacks. And Waller at 5,700 is – has the ability to have as much upside as any of those guys. So I think he's a really good play. And if this was his first game back, I'd be a little nervous, like we saw last week, a little rusty. But he played the whole game, like he's ready to rock and roll here. So I think he's a really interesting spend up. You're like mid-price guy that I think could get forgotten here.
Well, I think
go ahead, Joe.
I mean, the thing is though, Vinny, he's not very expensive.
That's what I'm saying though. But because he's sandwiched like in the middle there, like you're gonna have people either pay up at tight end or pay or go all the way down, right? To Freiermuth or Goddard. So
people are gonna hammer. So like if Hill's not in, people are gonna hammer Kelsey. People are gonna hammer Gronk anyway, just because they don't really have anybody else. Yeah. People aren't gonna play Kittle because he's kind of shit the bed the last 2 weeks. I like him. Waller, I mean, at 5,700, like. This might be the cheapest he's been all year.
Totally. Right. And on top of that, you can get Derek Carr in the stack, which Derek Carr, is, whatever. But at 5,500, if he's going to get us a 20-point game, which if they want to be in this game, he needs a 20-point fantasy game for himself. And that's an easy 4-timer. And we can go up in other places and get guys like Debo Samuel or Cooper Kupp in our lineups, which is going to be very difficult to do in the playoffs.
Yeah, I'm with you guys. I do think the path to this game is like, it's got to be a Jacobs game, right? They have to limit the amount of touches Burrow's going to get because Cincinnati will score points, but they will still need Carr to play well. Like, it's the playoffs. He can't go out there and throw for, 170 yards and just kind of manage the game. And I don't think that gets it done on Saturday. So I don't love Carr, but I don't mind it either. But if we're talking just like a Saturday slate, I'll have some shares for sure.
And Hunter Renfro at 6K. Right. He's going to get his targets. He didn't get that many targets last week, but he did get that touchdown. Now, the red zone guys are Darren Waller, Renfro, and Jacobs. Those are the 3 guys you should be thinking about when you're playing the Raiders. I know Vinny loves to play Zay Jones. I know those are on bigger slates and everything, but the reality is with Waller fully back, Zay Jones and Bryan Edwards, it's a massive deduction. I mean, they each might get 2 catches, and if you're lucky, they spring one for a touchdown. I'm probably going to be avoiding them. Just because they're not high volume guys. So it's Carr, it's Waller, it's Jacobs, and it's Renfro. Those are the only 4 you should be thinking about on the Raiders side, in my opinion.
Yeah, I will have a little Zay Jones, but not much. I think there are a few other pay down guys like in that price range this week where he's at 4K that like you could find some better spots in my opinion, but I don't mind him either. Like again, if I'm playing just the Saturday slate, I want to get weird, like I will absolutely be playing with Zay Jones because if he gets 6 to 8 targets, right, I'm not expecting 25 points, but that could turn into 25 points. So,
I mean, someone that's really interesting is Desean Jackson at 3K, right? He's not getting all this play time, but if you want to take a shot, there's an easy, right, especially again with Waller healthy and those safeties having to play on Waller, look for Desean Jackson to get a couple of deep shots.
That's your Millie play right there. Like if you were trying to go bust or number 1, that's who you slam dunk in at 3K bare minimum, and you just hope he pops a 70-yarder.
What is also interesting for like for a showdown play. They're bringing him in specific packages, and it's the one reason that gives me a little bit of pause about Brandon Jacobs. It's this Mariota shit.
Josh Jacobs.
Brandon
Jacobs, that big motherfucker.
In Neanderthal. This is like a real thing, and I don't think that they're going to stop doing this. They've been kind of doing it all year. I mean, Mariota looks pretty good when he runs. So, like, if you're looking to play a big Millie Maker showdown lineup, at 6K, you also have the upside there where, like, he's going to get, probably 4 to 6 carries. You're going to just hope that one's around the goal line. But the cool part about playing him is that for some reason, if Derek Carr happens to get hurt, he's there. So, like, if you're playing in a large field GPP and you're really trying to get different, I think that's a good way that you can do it this week. Could he also get you like 3 points? Yeah, absolutely.
So here's an interesting thing I read, and this is kind of just a total side note earlier, is just to keep in mind, especially if you're playing the 2-game slate on Saturday, or for showdowns especially, is like, someone broke down the example of the Christmas like DraftKings Millie Maker, the 3-gamer. Of the 21,000 lineups that were in there, only 1,000 were unique in the score. So like if you just get weird with like 1 or 2 guys, that's all it takes. to take down a Millie, right? And there's your Desean Jackson play, possibly Zay Jones, and we'll get to the Cincinnati side here, but you have to get different. You just have to if you're going to play a GPP and try to win it.
100%.
So,
and if you don't, and if you're not comfortable, like there's some great showdown options. Like there's a $20 3 max that only has 294 entrants that I'm in, right? The prize pool is only $5,000, right? You're not going to win thousands of dollars, but you can make an easy profit playing that. And you don't have to get as weird with some of these plays.
Right.
The $3, entries with the big winnings are really, really attractive, but just be prepared. Like that showdown that I took down in last week. I mean, I left like $4,800 on the table, right?
Yeah.
Like, and that was a single entry, right? So, you just have to do strange stuff like that. So the Mariota play is just kind of one of those things that you can choose to do to get yourself really, really different. And look, is it a good idea if you only want to play 2 to 3 lineups? Well, if you're happy with just losing that money, then sure. But like, if you're really trying to take something down, you're going to have to get a little bit different.
Shoot.
What about the Cincinnati side of the ball?
Yeah, let's move on to the Bengals. Joe Burrow is going to take his shots, and that's what you got to love about him. He's got the highest yards per attempt, highest yards per completion. He's going to go for it, and the offense is not going to change, right? They're going to go downfield, and they're going to be successful. I'm not saying the Raiders' defense isn't, they've been balling out. They're going to get a great pass rush, but every now and again, I mean, I can see Jamar Chase getting 3 catches, 85 yards, and a touchdown. Which even at 7,400 where he's at, that's enough to take down a room. Easy.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I love Chase. He just absolutely killed it. Everybody is going to gravitate towards him.
Mm-hmm.
Per what Joey was talking about with the pass rush, Joe Mixon will be back this week. And I think that he's a guy that when he plays, he's just like Najee Harris. Like, they just leave him in there the whole fucking time. I mean, a few weeks ago, they were up like 25 points in the fourth quarter, and they were still throwing like go routes to Joe Mixon. So, I mean, he's going to get left in there. I like playing him on the full game slate or the full slate because I don't think that a lot of people are going to do it, and he's at a good price point to do it. I love him in Showdown as a captain for that reason, especially on DraftKings, right? You're just going to get those PPR points. And if the pass rush is coming, they're always going to look to throw down the field first. But Burrow has already shown that he's mature enough of a quarterback and has a good enough rapport with Mixon that he can dump it off to him.
Well,
so,
and on top of that,
really
Mixon is a really bad pass blocker. And the Bengals tight ends are literally irrelevant in the passing game because they keep their tight ends in.
Block.
Yep, and they let Mixon go out. In his last 2 games, he has 7 and 6 catches. He had the week off last week. He's ready to go. Talk about a guy that's fueled up. He's from the Bay Area. I think he was a Niner fan, but it doesn't matter. When you're playing against your old local team as well, especially in the playoffs, I can see Mixon definitely having one of those games this week.
Yeah, he's my favorite player on the board. For sure on the Saturday slate, possibly one of my favorites of the whole weekend. Nice. He's just a bell cow, dude. Like, he's one of the few bell cows here. Last time they played, he went 30 carries, 120 yards, 2 tugs, and he wasn't even involved in the passing game, right? So they leaned on him heavy. Like you said, he's game script proof. No matter what happens, he's going to be involved. But I think at the receiver position, I'll definitely have some Chase, but I love both Higgins and Boyd here. I think that's what Jim, we were talking about. Like, you could run a Cincy stack with Burrow, Mixon, Boyd, or Higgins, and then bring it back with like a Waller and be very different.
The one thing I will say is the Raiders, Nate Hobbs, their slot cornerback, the rookie, he's one of the top slot cornerbacks in the league this year.
Is that the guy that's got the Dewey?
And Vegas rules, he's not even going to get a DUI. The car was stopped. So that is not a DUI in Las Vegas. But anyways, he's going to be locked down on Boyd the entire game. And again, he's been one of the best slot cover corners in the league. So be careful playing Boyd. I think the way to attack the Raiders is away from Casey Hayward, which I also think will be locked on Jamar Chase most of the game. I think if you want to get kind of weird, I think T. Higgins is going to have the highest volume day just from the way the Raiders are going to play their defense.
Yeah.
So Trevin Merrick also at free safety is going to be over the top on Chase almost every single play. I think T. Higgins is really the smash type player you're going to get from this lineup outside of Mixon.
Yeah, I mean, I like that. Also, to your point, Joey, is the Raiders normally don't cover tight ends very well, or the like deep middle of the field, right? We saw it last week.
The underneath area, the 15-yard area, yeah.
So while I don't disagree with your point about the rookie slot corner, I think that, the tight ends are going to be in blocking a little bit more, and that to me, it's either going to be Higgins or Boyd that are going to work that like deep intermediate area. I think Boyd is one of those. Again, if we're talking about taking down a bigger, just a 2-game slate or like a GPP, I think Boyd is going to go overlooked again. I think the Raiders' only path to winning this game is trying to divert everything to take Jamar Chase away. Because if they can do that, it's going to be great. So like in a showdown or a 2-game slate, if you want to run a Bengals stack with like Burrow, Mixon, and like Higgins, or like Burrow, Boyd, and Higgins, I think that's a good way to kind of get away from that. I'm not saying that Chase is a bad play. He's not, right?
No, I'm not saying
but
that
like
either.
on a 2-game slate, especially after last week, everybody's just going to play him, right? Or not last week, the week before, but everyone's got those big numbers in their mind. If you had him on your fantasy team, you're like, man, he helped me win my fantasy championship. Like, I'm going back to him. He got like 50 fucking points, right? So I think that Boyd is a nice way to kind of get away from that. I'm with you guys. I don't really have any interest in Usama or the Bengals tight ends.
No.
That wraps it up for me in this game.
Yeah, we'll move on to the next.
I'm just going to, just Higgins, I think, is going to be the guy that ends up having the best day. Okay. All right, let's move on to New England Buffalo. That is Saturday night. It's going to feel like -7 degrees out there in Buffalo for the evening game.
A little chilly.
It's going to be a little nippy.
Little chilly out there.
So let's start with the Patriots side of the away team. Are you guys going to play any Mac Jones?
No.
Me neither. Let's move on.
He will be a full fade for me. I think I said it at the top of the show, or maybe we hadn't started recording yet, but I think the Bills absolutely throttle New England. Like, I think it could be like 38-10 type of a score. I think that they're pretty pissed off from losing that game to them. I think that, they saw some of the mistakes that they made, even though the weather was a little weird. There's not really going to be much wind. Both of these are cold weather teams, but the Bills are just kind of on that upswing and clicking at the right time right now, right?
Maybe here's a better question.
Yeah.
Who on the Patriots would you be interested in playing?
I think guys.
I think you got to take a look at Ramondre Stevenson because he plays quite a bit in the passing game. I think him, and then I think you have to take a look at Hunter Henry. Those would be my 2 favorite guys. Vinny, do you have anybody different from that?
Yeah, I mean, I do have some interest in Damian Harris. I mean, I get it. I will have some Stevenson as well, but when Harris is ready to go, like, he is still the bell cow of that team in a sense. He's going to get all the red zone touches for sure. That's his game, right? Very often he has 12 touches for 85 yards and 2 touchdowns, right? And that's enough.
He gets all the red zone hub.
So I love that. I'm with you on the Hunter Henry call. I think he's a sneaky play for sure. And I'll have a little bit of Jacoby Myers as well. I think his price point's right.
If I'm going to play a Patriots receiver, it's going to be Nelson Aguilar, 3,100.
So he's interesting.
He's going to be on the field. He's healthy. He hasn't been healthy at the end of the season. He's got that speed for game-breaking stuff. They like going slant routes with him in the red zone. But again, at 3,100, that's just too cheap, right? That's just Sean Jackson. If we were talking about that, and Aguilar's going to be on the field a hell of a lot more.
And that's why I say even Myers at 4,500 again. I mean, that's not breaking the bank necessarily. So if you needed a one-off in that like 4 to 4,500 range, like he's a good player for that price spike.
And I mean,
he was
we're going to get to this
6K. No.
Yeah, we're going to get to this game, but the reason I'm looking at these guys that are 3,100, is because I'm going to need guys like Cooper Kupp or Debo in my lineups. And in these playoff games, you're going to have to find these guys at a really low price to sneak those guys into your lineups.
Yep.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, that pretty much does it for the Patriots side, man. I mean, they're the definition of condensed, and they're going to try to keep this ball out of the Bills' hands, so
100%.
That's where I'm rolling. But Buffalo side brings a little bit more of a challenge as far as where to go. So
maybe, but maybe not.
I think this is a spot where there's so many options. You can definitely differentiate here with a lot of guys. I mean, Josh Allen, obviously. Who do you guys like more, Josh Allen or Joe Burrow, just for the Saturday slate?
I think it's Josh Allen. And
Okay.
I think a lot of people will think it's Joe Burrow. I think he's just running more now, right? My only concern is if they just blow him up too bad or blow him out too badly, he's not going to be doing any of that running. I think the Raiders and Bengals game is going to be a lot more competitive.
Yeah.
So, but honestly, I'm willing to take the upside on Josh Allen. Joe Burrow has it too, right? But I mean, these are two guys that are just like maybe the two highest scoring quarterbacks of the week, and they're on the same day. So it's going to be an interesting. If you're just playing that 2-game slate, I personally am not. But if you are, I mean, you're going to have to choose probably one of those two guys or Derek Carr.
Yeah, I think Devin Singletary is very viable here at that price point too. Like at 5,700, I mean, he is very clearly taken over the lead back role in Buffalo. Like,
yeah,
very, very clearly he's involved in the pass game. I mean, he's gone for 18, 26, and 25 the last 3 games, and one of those was against the Patriots.
The only thing that bothers me with this game, I can also see this game being like 17-14 as the final. Right. And just the touchdowns aren't happening like we want to. Josh Allen has his 280 yards and 50 rushing yards, but only has 1 touchdown.
Yeah.
Right. And Buffalo still gets to win. I can just see that game flow happening that way. This game kind of scares me outside of playing running backs because I feel like these two teams are just going to try to ground and pound and win the game physically.
Yeah. No, I hear you.
I have one guy that he should have probably had 25 points last week based on the amount of targets he had, but it just didn't work out for him, and it's Gabe Davis. When you're playing a Belichick team, what does Belichick do? He's going to try and take away. I mean, we all watch football. If you haven't gotten quite to that point, here's a tip. Their best player, Bill, is just going to take that away and say, okay, you just beat me with everybody else. And if you beat me with Gabe Davis and Dawson Knox, then, more power to you. But Gabe Davis had 9 targets last week and only 3 catches. He had 14 targets last week.
Holy shit.
Ended up with 3 catches for 39 yards. Most people are just going to go, he had 4 points, 6 points last week. Like he only had 7 the week before. This is what we're talking about on a short slate, finding guys like this who he is clearly the number 2. And next year, I mean, he's maturing as a player. It took him a little bit longer, right? This is his, next year will be his 3rd year. This is his 2nd year. He's really maturing as a player, and I think he's going to be a pretty good complement to Diggs going down the road. But this weekend, I think he's a guy you can play in a one-off. And really, if you're playing the entire slate, he might be my one favorite play from this entire game. And I think he's somebody you kind of have to prioritize. He's not super cheap if you're playing the full slate from Saturday to Monday. He's $4,600. But a guy who's $4,600 who got 14 targets last week and is probably going to be, I don't think we're going to get 14 again, but
no, but his floor is at least 6 or 7.
6 to 8? That's
my only. I completely agree with you. He is absolutely. I say he should be the number 2. My fear is with Manny Sanders back is you're going to see a coaching staff go, we're going to mix in the veteran, right? Like we got to get the vet back in there.
I think we're past that.
I hope so. I'm with you. I think he's a much better player. I love the play. I definitely have Gabe Davis quite a bit. But I'm going to have some Emmanuel Sanders. Like,
all right.
It's just, again, at that price point into what we talked about, just getting weird a little bit, like he could very easily pop, 75 yards and a touchdown on Sunday. Because the good thing is Josh Allen's going to throw it like 50 times. So like there's enough targets to go to each of these guys. So just be, mix it up a little bit.
Yeah, I like it. All right, guys, let's move on to Sunday. We got Philly, Tampa, the first game Sunday morning. It is supposed to be raining, 20-mile-an-hour winds in Tampa. The weather's not going to be your normal Florida weather game that you're expecting. I don't know if the winds are crosswinds or going towards the goalpost, but it's definitely going to throw an effect into this. But in this game, I think the game flow is going to go Tampa Bay just clown shows the Philadelphia Eagles. I can see this final being 27-3 or a 34-7. I can see the Eagles just getting absolutely smashed here. One of my favorite we haven't really talked defense yet, but one of my favorite defenses I'm going to play this week is the Bucs defense. Their strongest point is their run defense. The Eagles' strongest point is their run offense. We always talk about all year, the Buccaneers secondary is a pass funnel. I can see Devontae Smith having himself a day and having some huge catches, but there's no one else really on the Eagles that I really want to play against this Bucs defense.
One guy.
What do you guys think?
And that's Dallas Goddard. I think if you're going to play an Eagle, he is the better play, in my opinion. Like I think he's more involved in the offense. He has a safer floor, in my opinion. Like Devontae Smith has. I mean, dude, he should be involved, right? But he just hasn't been. So Dallas Goddard at 4,500. If you're going to do it, that's the guy. Like if he doesn't go, the offense is not going to go. Yeah,
I just think that Eagles run offense is just going to get stifled.
I
think they're going to turn this into Jalen Hurts. You're going to have to run around and make some shit happen type plays. And that's where Devontae Smith is very good at getting open.
Well, you also have to keep in mind, not only did the Bucs have a good run defense that's getting guys back like Levante David and all these guys, like, dude, you're going to have Miles Sanders, Boston Scott, Kenny Gainwell, and Jordan Howard's back healthy. Like, I would love to think they're going to give Miles Sanders back the bell cow role, but I have zero confidence that's going to happen.
No confidence.
So
yeah, so it's Devontae Smith and Goddard. I think it's the only two players that I'm interested on the Eagles side in this game. Jimmy, what do you think?
So I like the Goddard call. I absolutely think that the Smith call is what a lot of people are going to be on, but I'm off it. If we're looking at the wind, is the big issue with the passing game, right? So I'm on windfinder.com, and we've got like around game time. I mean, we have steady winds of 25 to 26 miles an hour with gusting up to 35. Good. So
that's a lot.
It's not great. I think Jalen Hurts in that sense with his legs is the only way the Eagles really.
But I also like the Bucs. I like the Bucs pass rush, and they have fast linebackers. I just think I think the way this game flow is going to go, it's like 23-3 is going to be the final, and Bucs just trying to trample them the entire time, and the game's never really close. I can see that easily being the game flow.
I think Goddard is probably my favorite play out of the whole game. I think Quez Watkins is an interesting play out of the slot. They like to work the ball to him in short yardage situations. I think if you're going to play Hurts, you can. I think you can play Brady and Evans or Brady and Gronk without really any problem because they're going to throw the ball no matter what. They'll throw short passes. They don't really care. Brady's not too affected by the wind. Jalen's a good quarterback, and I like Jalen Hurts quite a bit. But, yeah, I mean, this one with the wind is something that really –
Well, moving on to the Bucs side.
Scares me.
Brady's going to throw it a lot. He's going to throw it underneath. I think Gronk is going to be a huge play this week. Gronk in the playoffs, we know that. And we'll see when game time gets closer here, which is going to be a little tough with this, different games on different days. But playoff Lenny has been designated to return this week. Mm-hmm. They're going to see how he does in practice, obviously, but expect him to play on Sunday all year, and people are going to forget about him. They're going to go, his first game back. We don't want to play him. I'm sorry, but running back number 2 is Keyshawn Vaughn, right? Yeah. They don't want to play Keyshawn Vaughn. So the reality is Fournette, if he's healthy, he's going to play. Yeah, he's going to get the short yardage passes. He's going to get the targets, PPR. I think Fournette can go possibly low owned. Yep. And we can get lucky there.
I love playoff Lenny here in this spot if he's back.
If he's back, yeah.
If he's back, I will have a lot of him because, again, this is a running back that was creeping up to in the 7Ks as the season was finishing off, and he is at 5,700 5,900. Sorry. It's just a layup pick. Like if he's going to play, I will have damn near 80-90% of him. I think that's my favorite stack because of the weather is the Brady playoff Lenny and Gronk stack, because we were seeing Fournette get 7-8 targets a game before he got hurt there. And I think that's a really interesting way to look at it. The other cool thing about this matchup is the worst team in the league versus tight ends this year was the Philadelphia Eagles. They gave up 14 touchdowns. They gave up.
And Gronk in the playoffs, man. Gronk in the playoffs is a whole nother specimen.
This is why they signed him.
It's not going to be a sneaky play.
No, it's not going to be sneaky. But again, if Gronk is still, I'm going to have a lot of Waller. Who knows? I might have a lot of Waller with Gronk stacks. But I can see Gronk easily. He's going to be 25% owned, and I don't really care. I can see Gronk getting 2 touchdowns easy.
Dude, there's a lot of great tight ends in this.
Tight end stacks have not been great this year. In the past, it's been a good way to differentiate. But if you're playing the entire game, the entire weekend slate, I think tight end is a fantastic way, especially because Waller, 5,700, the type of volume that he's going to get. Gronk, 6,000, like the type of volume that these guys are going to get.
Dude,
they're going to get the kind of volume that receivers at in the mid 7s are getting.
Right? I legit have on here 10 of the 12 starting tight ends in this week. I have on my playable this week, because literally you can play Kelsey, Gronk, Kittle, Waller, Schultz, Knox, Ertz, Goddard, Freiermuth, and Hunter Henry. Those guys are all good plays. They're the best tight ends in the league. I think
we can even go as far as to say is whoever has the best tight end pick this week is going to take down whatever tournament.
Or like you said, you could very easily go double tight end this week. And
very easy.
Very weird. So I like that.
I like it.
From the Bucs game, receiver real quick. I don't really have anyone down low that I like or anything like that. It's either Evans, Gronk, playoff Lenny, or Tom for me.
Yeah, I'll go to other games to get weird at receiver. Mm-hmm. If this was going to be a perfect day, no wind, we could talk about it, but I'll pass and I'll just go to other games.
Cool. Okay, let's move on to the afternoon. We got San Francisco at Dallas. Obviously, we don't have to worry about weather in this game. We got the dome. Let's start on the Dallas side. I know you guys are all probably jacked up talking a little Niners here, but let's start with Dallas and just get that out of the way. First off, how do you guys think this game flow is going to go overall? Do you think this is going to bust out, or do you think some defenses are going to step up here?
I think it's going to be a massive shootout. And it's going to have to be one of those games where the Niners, just like last week, this is the biggest, scariest thing about Jimmy Garoppolo, is that in order for the Niners to have a chance to make a run in the playoffs, they're going to come out and they're going to try and run the ball early. Dallas's defense is not great, but they're going to have to throw the ball, and Dallas's running game has just looked
terrible.
Huge. Well, Zeke looks like shit.
Zeke looks like he's been hanging Pollard, out. What a burger the last few weeks.
Great. The Niners D-line and their linebacking core are healthy for the most part. They're going to get Greenlaw back this week. So I think that the Dallas passing game with the Niners just putrid secondary is really going to excel. And with Gallup now being out, it gives you some interesting options. I don't like the tight ends so much, just because the Niners do a pretty good job at covering tight ends. But I think that CeeDee Lamb is going to eat. I think that Cedric Wilson, obviously we saw it last week, has a really good rapport with Dak Prescott, and and the coaching staff is really comfortable with him just stepping into Gallup's shoes with no precipitous drop off there, right?
Yeah.
And I think that Amari Cooper is the guy that, is the fastest one out of all those three. It's going to be a problem for the Niners. So
Cooper has also been vocal about he wants more targets. And I think he's going to receive.
That, yep.
I think he's going to receive. I think it is. I don't like, being a Raider fan playing Amari Cooper and all that stuff because he totally boned us, but I think this could be a big time Amari Cooper breakout.
Yeah, it sucks because I'm just not like an Amari Cooper guy. I just don't love playing him. I much prefer Lamb and Cedric. I think those two are my two favorites on this side of the ball for sure. But I think you got to get some shares of Amari. He's too good because they're going to have to really worry about Lamb in this game, I think. And that's just going to open up massive lanes for Cooper and Cedric.
Well, especially too, like if you're just going to play a showdown slate, which I think this is a fantastic showdown game because there are so many options on either side of the ball. We just talked about 3 Dallas receivers. You got Schultz. You could play either one of the running backs. You could play Dak. I mean, there's a lot of options. And in the Niners, too, the offense is very spread out. If we're talking about showdown, I mean, Cooper is priced way down there from where Lamb is, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he's down at 7,200. Like,
yeah,
he's only $1,000 more than Dalton Schultz. So,
just kind of wrap a bow on this side. Like, I don't really have much interest in Dak. I think there's other quarterbacks I like more on the full slate, to be honest. But Zeke, I have no interest in.
No.
None at all. But all 3 receivers I have interest in.
So the one thing is, I think the way the game flow is going to go here, I really do. Again, this is coming from the non-Niner fan on the podcast here. I think the Niners are going to run the ball all over the Cowboys, and they're going to mess up their rhythm. I think Niners are going to go on long drives as long as Jimmy G doesn't, get those random turnovers that he's susceptible to every once in a while. But the Cowboys, when they get their rhythm messed up, their offense does not flow like it normally does. It's when they're getting turnovers and getting the ball back quick. That's when all of a sudden they put up 3-4 touchdowns in a row and run away with games. I just don't see that happening in the game flow this week. I can see this being higher scoring, but I see the Niners just pounding the ball, going underneath the Debo Samuel, and having these 10-minute drives that completely deplete the Cowboys. I like the receiver options. I don't think Dak has this 330-yard game. I just don't see it happening this week against that Niners defense. The way they play, Nick Bosa, I think, is going to get a couple shots on him as well. Now, on to that, let's move on to the Niners side. I feel like this side's a little bit easier to say who our favorite players are, and we'll talk about the guy, obviously, at the top there, Debo Samuel. I mean, absolute game changer. Every team wants this guy on their team. I said it on the last drive last week. I go, Niners can still have a shot at this just because they have Debo. Because that guy can just make things happen out of nowhere. And 8,100 compared to like a Cooper Kupp, which is up there like 9,400, Debo is very interesting. I want to play a lot of Debo this week.
Yeah, and I know price is softer this week, but he went down in price, which is just pretty spectacular for DraftKings. But I'm with you, man. They're just going to find ways to get him the ball. The other not cool thing, obviously, but Eli Mitchell is still really banged up for the Niners. Like, I liked him last week thinking he was healthy. He's not. Kyle Shanahan even said it, like his knee's not right. Like, he's going to get carries, but he doesn't have, I don't know how much they're going to be able to lean on him here, So,
I mean, I think
Debo's going to get carries.
Debo's going to get carries, but I think that they're going to have to try and mix in Wilson and Sermon a little bit. Just they're going to have to do it. I'm with you, Joey. I think that's going to be the Niners' game plan. I think personally that Dallas is just going to load the shit out of the box and make Jimmy beat them.
It's their only.
It's the only way. He's got the hurt thumb. I mean, if all it is going to take for him is to bang that on someone's helmet, and then Trey's going to be into the game, which is not a great spot to put your rookie, on the road. Let's say middle of the second quarter in probably in a bad spot, right? So I think that's what they want to try and do. I just think that they're going to have to throw the ball a little bit. It's going to have to look a little bit like the game last week. And
like a guy like Jawan Jennings completely stepped up last week. Does he do it again?
No, I mean, I would rather just play. I mean, you guys clown on me for recommending Ayuk every week, but he scored 20 points last week. Right?
No, he has the last 6 weeks been awesome.
And you can play him and Debo together without a Niners quarterback, right? Because again, like we talked about last week, they have different roles within the offense, right? They can both produce. Debo had 29 points last week. Ayuk had 20, right? And if you're trying to fit things in and you're playing the full slate, well, Ayuk's 5,400. Now, I know that that's not as sexy of a pick as the Debo thing, but look, if you want to play Chase or you want to play Kupp, you can't play all of these expensive guys, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He's a great option. And then, just segueing into what we talked about with Kittle. I really think that they're going to have to get Kittle involved. Dallas does not cover the tight ends well. Their linebackers are not great at covering tight ends.
They're sending 7 guys on a blitz every play. And that's the only thing that scares me a little bit is just exactly what you talked about last week, Jim, is them keeping Kittle in for pass blocking, especially if Micah Parsons is on his side, right? That's the only thing that worries me a little bit is they rely on Kittle in the pass blocking game, and they're not sending him out a ton.
It's going to depend.
That worries me with Kittle.
The only good thing I have a little bit more confidence this week in it is Trent Williams is back. He is going to play, so that makes life a lot easier for everyone on that offensive line. And I'm with you, Jim. I think we're going to see, like, we haven't seen it in about 5 or 6 weeks. I think this is a week where Kittle has a monster game. Like, I would be more inclined almost, I know it sounds like blasphemy, like, I'm going to have some lineups where I have, like, Ayuk and Kittle and no Debo, because I think Debo's going to get his touches, but I think this is going to be a spot where Kittle can just own the middle of the field versus Dallas.
Yep. And then you've got the other factor against Dallas where, yes, they generate a lot of pass rush, right? But they also make a lot of mistakes. Trayvon Diggs has a lot of interception, but he also gets torched regularly because he guesses, right? He's not getting those interceptions because, some of them are bad throws, some of them are right place, right time, but he's guessing, right? And a lot of the times he may guess early in a game. They'll run the same thing later in the game and then run something else off of it because he knows that they'll bite on it, right?
Yeah.
Kyle Shanahan, this is his gig, right? He's the offensive coordinator.
I think Shanahan's going to outcoach them this week. I think that pass rush everyone's talking about, it gets generated through a lot of blitzing, which is going to allow Debo to get the ball in the second level with not many people to avoid.
So, Debo, Kittle, Ayuk, they call themselves, I think there's a lot of big bros, right?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of big plays from those 3 coming in this game.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right, let's move on to Pittsburgh, KC. I know everyone thinks 12.5-point favorites by the Chiefs. It's in Kansas City. The Steelers' offense is Big Ben's dog shit. Their offense is not dog shit. Big Ben's dog shit.
I was just about to joke around, be like, Big Ben resurgence ride.
No, I do think there's obviously the Chiefs guys you want to play this week. It's so hard for me to play Mahomes, and honestly, I'm not going to have much of them. I think ever since the Steelers guy, Casey Hayward, oh my God, the D lineman. Hayward, the D lineman for Steelers, Hayward, ever since he's come back, he's a perennial all-pro. When they put him on TJ Watt's side, which is most of the time, they absolutely wreck shit. Yeah. I think Mahomes is going to have to make a lot of plays this week. I think they're going to play 2 high safeties. They're going to have to get things done underneath. And I don't think the Chiefs really have those guys outside of someone like a Kelsey or a Tyreek Hill, which we don't know how healthy he's going to be this week. I think TJ Watt and Hayward can absolutely wreck Mahomes' day. In this game, the Chiefs still winning, the Steelers covering, and it being way more low scoring than everyone's expecting. I can see that happening very easily.
Yeah. I'm close to teetering on a full Tyreek fade here. And it's just purely that I don't think they're going to have the time to get that ball downfield to Tyreek. I don't know if you've been watching TJ Watt. He is one of the most unbelievable pass rushers I've ever seen.
Fire.
Yeah. And like I said, guys, this is like when the Niners had the Smith brothers, Justin and Alden. When Hayward and TJ are going, they are fucking shit up. It is fun to watch if you're a defensive fan, at least.
And I get it. Tyreek can bust one at any time against anybody, right? But I think you've got some veteran corners there. I think the pass rush is insane. But I would lead you to think like this is a Kelsey game, right? Like I currently have Kelsey as my top rated tight end. But looking more at it, the Steelers are a top 10 defense versus fantasy versus the tight end this year. Mm-hmm. And that's simply because Minkah Fitzpatrick is a damn horse. Yep. And I don't know, man. Is Pittsburgh a sneaky pick this week? Like, I don't know if the offense can do enough. But
I think 12 and a half
cover,
is
absolutely
way too many points. I think they can cover. I don't know if they can win the game, but look, like Ben knows that like basically every game is going to be his last game. So he's going to do everything in his power, right?
But I feel like all his teammates are too, right? Like we talk about motivations. Every player is motivated in the playoffs, of course. But when your leader is going out, the franchise leader is going out, you saw it these last 2 weeks to rally themselves into the playoffs. The team just stepped up to a whole new level of team.
Yep.
And they're trending upwards just like the Bills are.
Yep. They are. They can get hot. Look, and Kansas City has not been the same Kansas City, right? We've all seen that all year.
Mm-hmm.
I think, if we're talking about some plays that I like on Kansas City, I mean, Tyreek's a little banged up. They play good against the tight end. He had a pretty good game last week, and I think it's McCole Hardman. I know he's not your guy's favorite player, but
I'm with you.
He just never meets expectations. That's my only little issue there.
But think about, we talk about always how the game's going to play out, right? Like if we think Tyreek's going to get kind of bottled up, right? Like, and Kelsey's going to get kind of bottled up here. Like, they got to throw the ball to somebody. They're not going to run versus the Steelers.
No, I mean,
I think Pringle might be a dangerous red zone person, right? He's one of their taller receivers in the red zone, and they like to go him crossing in the back of the end zone and stuff. I can see a Pringle touchdown, possibly 2, but he's not going to get that many targets, so he's risky. I mean, he's one of those showdown guys you can get in.
Hardman's $4,100, right? He had 11 targets last week. He went over 100 yards in a game that it was tight. They were trailing, Tyreek went out. I don't think Tyreek's going to be his normal self, and I think that Hardman is, maybe this is the game where, he stepped up a little bit last week. Maybe he starts to step up, but that kind of volume for $4,100, like, again, it's like the Gabe Davis thing, right? And it might even be a better play than Gabe Davis because I think they're probably going to have to throw the ball a little bit more than the Bills are going to have to or want to, right? So, I mean, I think I got to play a Mahomes lineup, but I don't know if I'm playing a Mahomes, Hill, and Kelsey. I mean, I think if I'm going to play a Mahomes stack, I mean, I think it's going to be Mahomes, Kelsey, and Hardman if I'm going to do it, right? Just because
I think doing the normal Tyreek, Kelsey, Mahomes stack, I think is fool's gold this week. I mean, one of those guys I think is not getting anything.
Yep, I agree.
Moving on to the Steelers side. Obviously, like, we're not on Big Ben. He's throwing for like 120 yards a game on 50 attempts.
Yeah, we're not doing that.
But Najee Harris is the obvious one. We talk about him every single week. We're beating a dead horse here. But the guy has he had the most touches out of any running back in the entire league this year. That's not going to stop.
So he did go out of the game early, and he got hurt last week, right? He sprained his elbow, they said.
Yeah, he hyperextended his elbow. Whatever.
So, but then he got close and he went back.
and then all of a sudden, he's back in the game. So, like, just that alone tells me that, obviously they were playing for quite a bit last week, and he said, look, get me the fuck back in the game. It's going to be really hard to ignore playing him. And, he's, like Joey said, like, they give him the ball as much as they can whenever they can.
But I have to say, my favorite part on this side of the Steelers is the way the Chiefs play defense with Spagnuolo. They try to get after the quarterback, especially against Big Ben. They're going to load the box. They're going to put their corners on an island. You saw what the Bengals did to him a couple of weeks ago.
Yep.
Right. And the Steelers with Chase Claypool. Now, I don't think anyone's going to be on Chase Claypool. He hasn't really had the year we're all expecting, but I mean, he still has all those skills. He still has all those tools. I can see him having a big time catch in the end zone. Big Ben taking a 3-step drop and just shooting it downfield 25 yards. Claypool can definitely get some one-on-one shots this week. And I think at that price point at $4,800, that is cheap enough. With Deontay Johnson is $6,700, and we're looking for underneath routes and him to break one. I think Claypool has a little bit more upside this week, although Johnson definitely has a higher floor.
I think there's one guy you got to keep your eye on, and I don't know if you saw the news today that he practiced, but Mint Price, Juju Smith-Schuster practiced today. And
holy shit.
Tomlin is saying basically, we'll see what happens if he, looks okay tomorrow and, isn't banged up. Like, if he's coming in at Mint Price, I mean, again, I don't think you can expect a huge game here, but Juju will be involved. He's one of Ben's safety outlets, right? Like,
yeah, it's tough to ignore, right? If he's going to be active, so we'll just have to keep an eye on that.
Yeah.
I'm pretty simple here. It's Najee Harris and Deontay Johnson for me. Anybody else is, if they slot into my lineup somewhere, okay. But Freiermuth is fine, but I just think that it's going to be pretty condensed with Deontay.
Well, I think you need your tight end this week to really have a big game. And do you think Freiermuth is going to outscore those other 8 guys we listed? And I think he's on the bottom of those 8 guys, unfortunately, even though we're a big Freiermuth podcast. Oh, speaking of big tight end podcast, do you guys see Irv Smith scored last week? I didn't even know that guy was alive.
He's back?
Dude, he scored a touchdown last week for the Vikings. Got an update. And I was like, what the hell?
How did we miss that? Damn it.
Big Irv.
And just coming in for the last game before their season's over. I just wanted to mention that. Okay.
Aww.
Are you guys got any more Steelers takes, or are we ready to move on to the last game?
No, that's it.
All right. To the Arizona Cardinals at the Los Angeles Rams, possibly the 2 most fraudulent winning teams in the NFL going against each other. This is their 3rd time facing each other. 2 NFC West teams. You know, these division games always kind of they're hard nosed, man, and most of the time they go under. Do you guys think this game has a potential to shoot out, or do you think they kind of beat each other up?
I think 3rd time around these teams playing each other, I think there's a shot we see some fireworks here. I would not be surprised. I think, Joey, we were talking about on the pre-show, but like we have not seen Kyler really cut it loose lately. You know, and I think, you know, what's his name of the water boy said, like, can't hold anything back now, right? Like, I think this is a game we could see Kyler run bananas here, because if he sees an open lane or whatever, he's not going to just – I mean, they've had a comfortable playoff lead for like 7 weeks.
Yeah, I don't think they're – I think they're just kind of like they just stayed rusty. Like, they haven't put their foot on the gas pedal at any point. That kind of scares me going into this game. I kind of think the Rams might just tromp them. I mean, they're 4-point favorites.
Yeah, I mean, I think that this could be just an absolutely nuclear Cooper Kupp game. I think like a 45-point Cooper Kupp game. For whatever reason, last week they went away from him. During the Niners game, Sean McVay is a pretty smart coach, and I think they'll do some good self-scouting and go, man, like he was just tearing these guys up. Why'd we go away from him? So I don't think that they're going to make that same mistake again this week. I think there's some interesting plays. I think Kyler is definitely an interesting play. I think you could play him just by himself, just because their offense is so spread out. You kind of don't know where the ball's going. I think the Rams, I don't know, man. I think the Rams are going to get after them pretty hardcore.
I think so too. I think Stafford is the quarterback I want to play this week for $900 less than Kyler. You know, Stafford coming into the playoffs, he's got a big chip on his shoulder. I think Stafford can have himself a big game with Cooper Kupp. Just stack these 2 and just walk away.
Yeah, I agree, Joey. I mean, I think that they're a little bit embarrassed about what happened last week.
Definitely.
The Super Bowl is in LA. They've made all these moves, right? Now, the flip side of that coin, are they pressing a little bit too much? You know, Matt Stafford, everybody loves Matt Stafford, and I think he's a good play this week. But, I mean, he does throw some bad interceptions, and we saw it again last week against the Niners, right? But I think that this week, this is kind of one of those plays where, like, you just play a Matt Stafford and Kupp lineup, and then, like, you just have to get at least one, and then you move on, right? Yep. So, I mean – you know, bright lights, Monday night.
I think both quarterbacks are viable in this game for sure.
Do you guys think with the Cam Akers, 4,200 on the big slate, but I don't know about the big slate, but we'll go to our showdown man here, Jimmy. Akers and showdown, is that a viable option?
Yeah, I mean, look, it's one of those things where if you're playing a big field GPP, you got to be ready for him to get like 2 points or nothing, right? Yeah. But like, I mean,
Sony Michel looked like shit last week.
Sony Michel's just not very good. He's been putting up points because he was getting all of the volume and nobody else was there. Cam Akers is fucking really good. He's a great runner. He's a dynamic runner. The burst actually looks pretty good after tearing your Achilles earlier this year, which I don't even really understand how he's playing right now. But like modern medicine, right? Like I'm not going to really argue with it. Obviously, if he's out there, and he's like a future of their team. Sony Michel's contract is up next year, so they're going to have to re-sign him. There's really no loyalty to him there. I think that especially for showdown or like, if you're just playing like a Sunday, Monday slate, or like a Sunday night, Monday night, 2-game slate, I think Cam Akers is really, really interesting, man. He's going to be there, and I think that they're going to try and control the clock a little bit as well. But my other guy on a showdown slate, everyone's going to want to play Odell. I mean, Van Jefferson's just been solid all year.
Yeah, he's on the field.
He's a cornerstone of the offense. He never comes off the field. He run blocks really, really well, which is one of the reasons why he does not come off the field and why he's slotted in to become a cornerstone of the offense. Yeah, I mean, those are guys I have some big interest in, especially on like a weird showdown slate. Normally on a normal, 13, 14-game slate, I haven't been playing those guys, but on a slate like this, I have a lot of interest in those guys.
Yeah. And I don't know. I'm a little higher on the Arizona side. Like, I don't know. I just have kind of a gut feel here. That
I think the Rams are going to put it to him early. I think the Rams are one of those teams with McVay that have like one of the best opening game scripts in the NFL. Yeah. Where the first quarter and first half in general, the Rams can stick it to them, and the Cardinals coming on late.
That place is going to be going bananas on Monday.
Yeah, and I can see the Cardinals having one of those second halves where they have to throw the ball. I can see James Conner getting all these catches and scoring these random touchdowns when the game is completely over. James Conner is really interesting to me this week. You can't ignore the amount of touchdowns that guy has this year. He has like the highest grade running the ball and receiving the ball this year. I mean, he's been an absolute stud for them. I don't see that changing in any way.
See, I'm on the other side
of that. But both ways the game flows can go, I think he's involved in the offense either way. So I think Conner is a really high floor play.
See, I like Chase Edmonds more this week. He practiced Thursday. Conner, they said it's going to come down to like actually Monday. And he's got banged up ribs, dude. Like, it takes one shot, and Connor's just completely throttled. And I love, if we think this game goes up tempo, I'm with you, Joe. Like, Connor's not going to get like completely moved out of the game script, but Edmonds is the pass catcher in that offense, right? So I like that. Kirk is playable. I think old man AJ Green.
Wesley, if you're trying to get weird, Wesley's the one. If you're trying to get weird,
playable.
Wesley can do it.
And we'll see, man. He practiced limited today, but if Rondale Moore comes back, like, he's going to be on the field.
Well, I got to tell you, if Rondale Moore comes back, Wesley out.
Yeah.
Because Wesley's been subbing for Rondale Moore. So if Rondale Moore is playing, then do not play Wesley.
Yep. And then I think the only other guy, like, he's not going to have the dry air, but I think Zach Ertz is playable.
But again, I'll go back to Joey's comment. Do you think that Zach Ertz is a guy that can score more than Darren Waller?
I do, because he's constantly getting 10 to 12 targets a game.
Okay, fair enough.
And he has not scored a touchdown, which is like pretty weird. But I mean, he had 10 catches for 84 yards for 15 points last week. Like, if he pops one in, he's over 20. Yep. You know,
Ertz is a big part of that offense. When they traded for him, they put him right in. He's been a huge focal point of that offense. So I like the Ertz play.
I think Ertz is my favorite, like, pay down tight end. But he's sub 5K. You know, like, I know that's not pay down, but
that's pay down for the group we have this week for sure.
Yeah. So he's definitely my favorite pay down tight end if we're going to do it.
All right. So guys, since we haven't really touched on it, I'm just going to name my favorite 2 defenses that I'm going to play. And then you guys can do the same. So mine is number 1 will be the Steelers, and number 2 is going to be the Bucks. I don't care about the price points on defense here in the playoffs. You need your defense to score points this week, and I think both those teams have high potential of scoring a lot of points.
Okay.
And Pittsburgh might go really low owned, right? Everyone's scared of the Chiefs, but they can give up points and still get enough sacks and a turnover or two to get you your 10-plus points that you need from them.
Okay.
Vinny, what are your defenses?
Yeah. I'm with you. I like the Steelers as well, paying all the way down. I mean, that's kind of been our MO all year, right? I'm not so much on Tampa. I think if I had to do it, is probably the Cardinals at 2,900. Like, again, I just think Stafford is so turnover prone, dude. Like, he is a pick 6 waiting to happen. And so if you get one of those, like, you're fine. You're in business at 6-7 points there. You know, and I think with Chandler Jones there, JJ Watt's coming back, like, you're going to see some sacks. Like, I don't know, 2,900 is, I think, a pretty fair price there.
Okay.
So I actually like the other side of that game with the Rams at 2,700.
That's fair, yeah.
Yeah, I can see the Cardinals just completely pissing down their leg.
Well, and like Kyler does how we talk about like Carson Wentz, Kyler does weird shit with the ball.
Yeah.
Like he tries to do like these little flips to like, oh, I'm getting sacked, and like he just does weird shit with the ball. He's a short guy, right? So he fumbles the ball a lot. I don't know. The Rams have really good special teams unit as well. I think that they have a better special teams unit than the Cardinals do. This is very, very easily, a kickoff return for a touchdown, a punt block return for a touchdown, something weird like that. We haven't really had one of those in a little bit. If I'm going to pick, I'll play that. And I like to play it like with my Stafford and Cup lineup as well. Like if I just think that they're just going to kick ass, it's only 2,700. So it actually helps with the pricing a little bit. So that's why I kind of would be into that a little more.
All right. Now let's move on. So not necessarily hot takes. I mean, if you have a hot take, fantastic. But with, these are playoff teams. We don't have too many weird players or weird stuff going on. Like, oh my God, I'm forgetting his name for the Jaguars, where I got him earlier this year. Jesus, the guy that got injured. Agnew. Right? There's no guys like Agnew that are just going to bust out, right? So if you just have a wild prediction-ish, let's go for it. Who wants to lead off?
I got two.
Oh shit. Okay, you can lead off and end it.
Yeah.
All right.
Only do one.
All right. I'll do my least hot take first. My medium take. I think we see a double tight end take down at GPP this week.
Okay. What two tight ends?
I am going here. We're talking about the full slate.
Yeah, full slate.
Sorry. We got baby in the background.
Yeah, just play through it.
I'm going
tight end call.
I'm going Kelsey and Kittle. I'm just going up top. I think both of those guys go bananas.
Okay.
All right.
Jim?
I think, I've been good with receiver. I'm going to go to running back. I mean, he's highly priced, but I think Joe Mixon scores 40 or more points.
Holy shit.
Sorry, Joe. Your Raiders will not be playing next week if that happens.
Well, and honestly, necessarily, like, it might be the Raiders winning if Mixon scores 40 or more points. Because
if they shut down their pass game.
Yeah. So, I don't know. He got close a few weeks ago. He's been at 35, 31. I think he hits 40, and I think it's because he's going to have probably 8 to 10 catches and at least, obviously, 2 touchdowns, maybe 3. So that'll be my hot take.
So my hot take, bold prediction is that Darren Waller gets us 30 points this week. Easy 30-point game for Darren Waller, possibly 2 touchdowns. I think we're going to see him in the game and go, oh, that's the Darren Waller that we remember from last year. I think in these, this big playoff game, I think he's going to step up. And obviously, I'm also praying for that as well as a Raider fan. So, all right, Vinny.
Who's your final take then? Sorry.
I mean, this is not even a DFS take. I'm just saying I wanted to go full what's his name here and just explode, but I wake the baby up. But I'm taking Pittsburgh Steelers and a little bit of a money line action this week.
I like it, dude. We just talked about their defense, man. I think their defense is going to give the Chiefs problems.
I think they put the screws to Kansas City on their offense. I think they control the game, and again, Big Ben's last ride, walking boot and all, like ice bags, everything. Just I don't know, man. They're currently plus 455. What I see right now, I will be laying on the money line.
That's a Super Bowl bet right there. I love that.
I think we're gonna see some parity this weekend, and some. I told you guys before. I think we see some underdogs win this week. It would not shock me the Steelers to win this game.
No doubt. I see the game going under too, by the way. So I'm not really hot on this game for DFS either, but I do see this game going under and the Steelers covering at least. I mean, the hot take of the money line is aggressive, but I like it.
Let's get it.
Maybe a Niners-Steelers money line parlay.
Good Lord.
That's bold.
I think Niners win this week too.
Pays 14 to 1. 2 games. You only got to win 2 games.
Only 2. I would rather I think if you're going to do it, you go like Steelers Cardinals because I think anything can happen.
Let's finish off our show with predicting the winner, not even looking at point spreads or anything. So I'm just going to say Vegas Bengals. Who do you guys got?
Bengals.
Vegas. All right. New England Buffalo.
New England.
Buffalo.
New England.
My God.
Wow.
Okay. Tampa Bay, Philadelphia.
Tampa.
Philly.
Wait, to win?
Yes.
To win. Ooh, shit. San Francisco, Dallas.
Take the Niners. Cowboys are the most fraudulent team in the last 20 years in the NFL.
I think so.
It doesn't end this weekend.
Yeah, it doesn't end well for the Cowboys.
Fuck that.
Steelers, anyway. Chiefs.
Pittsburgh, what's up?
Steelers, let's do it. I'm in.
I mean,
plus 445. Let's fucking go.
I'm going to say the Chiefs.
All right, Cardinals, Rams.
Coward.
Cardinals. Hey, I said Philly earlier. Pipe it down.
That's true. You did say Philly. I got the Rams.
Jim, you said Rams.
I don't think fucking Cliff the Dick is winning anything. I think Sean McVay and Rams are going to beat them at home.
Yeah, I'm sure the little midget with his hair slicked back is.
All right, everyone. Enjoy 3 days of football. Saturday, Sunday, Monday, playoff games. Hell yes. It's going to be a great weekend. Hopefully we take down some big tournaments. Hopefully you guys take down some as well. Make sure you retweet us on Twitter. If you do win, post pictures of it, brag about it. Remember, our Twitter is Red Zone DFS. We got Vinny Levine 29, DFS Joey Levine, and JJ McIntosh. Make sure to visit our website for articles. Jimmy's got his golf articles up and everything. I know the tournament already started this weekend, but there's definitely some Saturday, Sunday slates where his article still applies.
All right, everyone. Good.
Later. Good luck.
Peace.